I'm a lot of fish.
I'm Mothra.
And this is Sibling Rivalry. The King of the Monsters is back, and this time he actually is fighting other monsters, so he deserves the title. It's not just one, it's many in the 100% Matthew Broderick free Godzilla. And
100% better than the 98 version, too.
Yeah, if people, people are split on this movie where they like it or hate it, everyone can agree it's better than the Matthew Broderick one, so that's always nice. This is a film, you got Bryan Cranston, you have his son. Cranston loses his wife early on, and he believes it's because of this disturbance they can't explain, and it's being covered up. He goes and finds out that it is, in fact, monsters, and they're being brought to life by this giant radioactive radiation. It's just science. It's just science. And they go running amok.
It's a Godzilla movie. Let's not get into
the technicals of giant dinosaurs destroying cities. And him and his son have to go and they have to try and stop this thing. But thankfully, or maybe not thankfully, Godzilla also rises from the water and tries to defeat this monster while another monster runs up. No. It's just a
It's thankfully for the audience. Maybe not for San Francisco, but for the audience. Thankfully, Godzilla shows up.
And it's just a great big monster mash, quite literally. And I'm actually really happy that we're reviewing this a few days later. Because if you were to ask me what I thought of this movie right after I saw it, I would have said, it sucks. I would have said it's really, really bad.
You're a terrorist.
No, with some good elements. But here's what I realized. Everything about this movie, for the most part, except for one element, I'll get into that in a second, everything about this movie is an updated, well-done Godzilla movie. Godzilla looks like Godzilla. He's fighting other monsters. It's not he wants to just eat people. He's actually taking on other monsters. There's two of them in this. The build-up is phenomenal. The acting, like, for a Godzilla movie, it's actually really good. And pretty enjoyable.
It depends who we're talking about.
Okay, I think
Bryan Cranston's amazing.
Yeah, Bryan Cranston is like, every time I see him do drama, it's like he's almost over the top laughable, but it's like, no, he pulls back just enough so that you're really investing. You're just like, man, this guy's just putting everything on the line. He does a great job. And I was shocked going into this with no expectations whatsoever how much I was getting into it and how even seriously I was taking it, even though there's a lot of things that are still, it's a monster movie. I think there's even one point where the general says, and where is Godzilla? And I snickered a bit, because you just hear that, you kind of laugh. But
I always love it when they ask that, like, where is Godzilla? How do you lose Godzilla?
Yeah.
I mean, at least in this one it makes more sense. He's roaming around the earth, but that was always my problem with the 98 film. Just like, what do you mean you lost him?
Times.
I'm like, it's a city of 10 million people. You can't lose a giant lizard.
It had clever nods to the original movies, but not so bad that they're like big winks. See what we did there?
In 1954!
Okay, for example...
That worked, though. Like, I'm like, oh, nice, so you're referencing the original film. Like, that really happened, and there was a cover-up, maybe.
Yeah, no, I thought that was clever, and even the room where Cranston is in the opening, looking over all the earthquake info, doesn't that look like... You're still looking at this like, I don't think this is really what that room would look like, but it looks like what that room would look like in a Godzilla movie. Everything sort of has that feel, just all the little nods, but there's not, like, it's very white and very plain.
It's very lazy screenwriter way to sum up the fact that he's crazy. What do crazy people do? Put newspaper clippings all over the wall.
Well, yeah, not only that, I'm just talking about, like,
he doesn't have a computer? Like, I never understand that. Like, it made sense in old movies when newspapers
Yeah, because there were computers, yeah.
But nowadays, you would just have, like, you just go to Windows and, like, open up any of your thousands of saved files.
There'd just be monitors everywhere.
No, just hard drives.
Yeah.
Hard drives everywhere.
And what's on the hard drive, abbreviated. Well, I'm talking more about, like, the actual, like, the place where they monitor the earthquakes and stuff like that. I mean, didn't that just look like something out of a traditional, Godzilla old style movie.
Oh, you mean on the aircraft carrier?
No, in the very opening. I'm sorry we're getting so sidetracked on this.
Yeah, what are you talking about?
No, where the wife gets axed. And they're monitoring everything and stuff like that. Didn't that place just look like the typical, the graphs coming out and all the little charts and everything? And
it was a nuclear power plant. I would hope it looks something.
But it looks
technical.
like I don't know. No, it looks like a Godzilla nuclear power plant, if that makes any sense. It looks like one that would be in a Godzilla movie, not necessarily a nuclear power plant.
To be fair, my wife does work for an engineering firm, and she loves the movie, but she's like, that first 30 minutes pissed me off, because I'm like, wrong.
Exactly, so that's...
But it's a Godzilla movie, but B, I thought it looked more realistic than other blockbusters I've seen. I thought, actually, the scene on the aircraft carrier with their ready room, or war room, or whatever, looked pretty realistic to me. I'm like, I could see this. Whereas whenever I watch, what kills me is always episodes of CSI where they have the technology that's like 30 years more advanced. I was like, what police department?
They're doing like Minority Report stuff with their hands and stuff.
So I don't know. I thought it was all right.
I liked it. I was saying this movie is very clever at keeping it serious. But still being a Godzilla movie, and that is incredibly hard to do, and it's incredibly hard to balance that. And the build-up is unbelievable. This is like some of the best build-up since like Jaws or I want to say Flight of the Navigator, even though nobody knows what that is. But it really reminded me of Flight of the Navigator.
Let's go with Alien.
Okay, Alien.
Or even Aliens.
Wonderful build-up, and there's only one problem with this Godzilla movie, in my opinion. But
not enough Mutos.
It's kind of a biggie. In my opinion, there's not enough Godzilla doing what Godzilla does.
Wrong, sir. Wrong.
They build this guy up, and again, the monsters are going through, I think, Hawaii, and these spectacular explosions. Godzilla comes out of the water. The water drowns everybody. I mean, holy shit, this is just him getting out of the water. And in this phenomenal shot, one of my favorite shots in the movie, the bad monster hits a plane, the plane flies over and blows up another plane, that plane flies over and blows up another plane. Just before the airplane's gonna fly over, Godzilla's foot comes down on the ground, and you pan up, and it's building, and there he is in all his glory, there's God-fucking-Zilla, and he goes, Rah! And you're like, all right, here we go! Cut to the aftermath. I did this in the bumper review, that is literally what it does, and I sort of go, okay, odd, but it's still plenty more Godzilla movie. Let's keep going. Another monster comes up. He's heading towards Reno. Okay, what's gonna happen? Cut to the aftermath. This whole movie is aftermath, except for the end where we get about 4 genuinely cool kick-ass moves, and everything else.
There was 20 minutes near the end of this giant fight.
No, there's not. If it was 20 minutes at the end, that would be okay. But it's a few minutes of them fighting, then panning down to people running, and the guy that was.
Heaven forbid we show people running in a Godzilla movie.
No, not when it's the majority of
That's what the Have you ever seen the 1954 version of Godzilla? It's only 20 minutes of Godzilla, and even chunks of that are still Japanese who
okay.
Oh, Godzilla! And running.
Okay. And when did that come out?
1954.
Don't you think maybe we should upgrade since then? Show Godzilla doing a few more things.
We did, and it was called the 1998 Godzilla.
It was not an update. That was a huge step backwards.
Yeah, and guess what the 1998 Godzilla had? Nothing but fucking Godzilla running around New York, and about 20 minutes into it, you were done. You were out. We also did the same thing with Pacific Rim. I like Pacific Rim a lot. But
there was much more fighting in that.
But that was my one problem with the movie. An hour into it, I'm kind of done. I'm watching the same fight over and over again, bunch of robots.
With the exception of the underwater stuff. I love the fight in Pacific Rim. If Godzilla picked up a few buildings through it, if he got aircraft carrier or something and smashed it against something, that's what I'm looking for.
But if that's all you're seeing for 2 hours, it gets old after a while. That was my one problem with Pacific Rim. I had the exact opposite problem with Pacific Rim than I did with this one, because I thought the characters, caricatures that they were more entertaining to watch in Pacific Rim, and the fights themselves were entertaining, but after a while it just turns into Transformers. And I'm like, okay, I'm watching the same 2 guys beat each other down.
Well, when they get to the underwater,
robots, but this one, yes, Godzilla has less screen time than in something like Pacific Rim or a Transformers movie, but you appreciate it so much more. There's so
you
much
don't see
build-up.
it. It's not even appreciated.
You
see
don't see
plenty of it. No, you don't see it until the very
Oh,
end.
I'm sorry. So that giant tsunami he created and
That's
taking
not a
out
fight.
the 3 planes.
That is build-up. That is still the build-up.
Why does it need to be a fight? The first one didn't have like Godzilla.
No, they
versus.
had him
These are later
destroying
editions.
stuff. That is him just getting out of the water. There's a scene in the middle where
I'm sorry, the 3 pilots in those planes sitting on the tarmac would disagree with you.
No, but it's like...
this is him getting up out of the water. Well, yeah, that's the point. He's fucking Godzilla.
But okay, nobody
His mere
goes...
existence is destruction.
Nobody goes to a god. Nobody says, "Hey, you know what I see on Godzilla movie? Him get out of the water." That's what I'm looking for. No, they want to see him destroy shit, climb on buildings, throw them around, hit other monsters.
They want to see him destroy shit. So, creating a tsunami that takes out half of Honolulu or something, busting through the airport, planes flipping over.
That was mostly the other monster doing that one, the airport one.
Well, it doesn't matter. We still got tons of monsters blowing shit up, and at the very end, Godzilla does plenty.
Okay, no, here's the other thing, though,
Godzilla nearly sacrifices himself for us!
Okay, now here's my other problem with that, is that this movie, I think rightfully so, again, feeling like a Godzilla movie, wants to make Godzilla sort of look more like the hero. I mean, not like the, he wears a cape and he's like, "Oh, save your kids," or anything like that, but, we're supposed to kind of root for him to stop the other monsters. There's a scene in the middle where, for no reason, he gets up, it has a bridge, sort of plays with it, whatever, with buses full of kids, everybody's screaming, and we go back to the 98 Godzilla where he's attacking innocents and goes, and then walks through the bridge, and it's like, why were we supposed to cheer for that? Why are we supposed to be on his side for that? At the end, they say Godzilla, the savior. It's like, no, he's fucking attacking a bridge for no reason. There's no monster there. If he was fighting a monster, that'd be fine. But why are we supposed to root for him?
I don't think he was attacking the bridge. He's just an animal. He does what he does. Okay, let me put it this way. Do you think a bunch of ants, as we're walking through a backyard, do we give a shit about the ants? No, we're probably killing things left and right. This is what we do. It's just something in the way. We kick a rock. That could have been some poor earwig's home.
But he's swimming and he gets up, to attack this thing. It's like he could have just kept swimming.
Maybe it's shallow water under the Golden Gate Bridge. I don't know the science.
I mean, no, but...
Or maybe they wanted to fucking blow up a bridge, so they give you the destruction you want, and now you're pissed off.
No, that's not it. It's when he gets out of the water and all the people being drowned and stuff like that. I mean, that's pretty intense, but it's like, fair enough. He's getting out of the water and there's going to be casualties and stuff. He's fighting the other monsters. People are going to die while the monsters are fighting and stuff. There is no reason for people to get blown up and drowned and killed in that scene because he has no reason to get up and attack that bridge. If he was fighting a monster, it'd be okay. But in this, it's like there is no purpose to it.
It's a giant 300-foot tall
that I want
lizard.
to root for. I want to root for this guy, and they're trying to make us root for him, but when you have a scene like that, it's like, for me, I didn't get why it was in there, especially when at the end, it is mostly the monster.
Have you sat through any other Godzilla movie?
Yes, but no, that's the thing.
They did that, the Showa era films got goofy, and then you got the Heisei era, and it would become Godzilla versus these things, Godzilla versus that, and half the time Godzilla's a villain, and half the time he's a hero, half the time it's an alliance of convenience, because we're being attacked by a giant...
Pick one in this. Don't have, or at least have a reason for him to get out. If there was a reason for him to go to the bridge and it's just like, oh, he's an animal or something, that's fine, but they never explain why.
But that's not Godzilla. Godzilla doesn't need an explanation. He's fucking Godzilla.
No, I think...
Do you ask Chuck Norris why he does what he does? No, because you're going to get a fist through his goatee.
No, I think that with the other Godzilla movies, and not that I'm like super, read up on them or anything, but I mean, I've seen a fair share, and you're right, it goes back and forth between he's a villain, he's a good guy, he's usually fighting other monsters, but it's like, it's one thing throughout the film. I don't get why have him just for no reason go up to this bridge, sort of shake it up a little bit, even my phone disagrees, shake it up a little bit, and, then at the end be like, yeah, we're supposed to cheer him, yeah, that was cool. It's like that alone there threw a lot of things off.
It would be like us walking through police tape. That's the point.
But there's no reason for him to get up. He could have just swam under it.
Why does an animal do whatever it does? I've seen animals
Instinct.
do incredibly stupid things.
Instinct.
So what, an animal does something stupid out of instinct? Well, its instinct is to hunt, and there's a bridge in its way, and he's like, fuck that!
It's not in his way. He could swim under it. He could have hunt much faster if he swam under it.
And then you would have sat there with a Golden Gate Bridge still intact, and you'd be sitting here complaining, what happened?
No, I want to see another monster trying to attack the Golden Gate Bridge. Godzilla comes up, roars, they actually fucking fight, and we see the fucking fight, and it's cool.
Because Godzilla, like, has some concept of morality.
No, not morality, but there's just no point. I mean, okay, we're going on and on.
Okay, the whole point of Godzilla. Well, I mean, in the original, it's like a metaphor for the atomic bomb and this and that, but I mean, the whole point as it's been going on, and it's a very Japanese thing, is it's become this metaphor for a natural disaster. Godzilla doesn't give a fuck about humans. It's literally nature. It is like a giant volcano erupting in the middle of Los Angeles. Do you sit there and go, why would a giant volcano do that?
No,
it could have erupted anywhere,
question.
but it erupted in downtown Los Angeles.
Another question. The guy, the scientist who's following him around says, no, don't interfere, don't use the bomb, which they kind of do and kind of has no effect, even though it's supposed to be this huge, but whatever, Godzilla movie. He says, just let nature take its course. If they fucking let nature take its course, you see what happens? He'll just randomly be like, bridge, oh well, and then keep going. It's like, don't let nature take its course.
No, that wasn't the point. See, you, getting confused, yes. The point is, life finds a way. And the point is that Godzilla is a hunter. He's going to hunt the other two Mutos.
Is that what they were called?
Yeah. The massive unidentified terrestrial object. But my favorite is that like one of them's flying, so I'm like, wouldn't that make it a MUFO then?
The lousy MUFO!
Yeah, I know. I was like, it's totally a MUFO. One of those is a Muto, the other's a MUFO. And if you get them together, you have one big mofo. So no, his whole point was, now I grant you, this is the problem with the film. The side characters aren't very interesting, so I could see why you would be like, I wasn't listening. But he does explain and say the whole Godzilla wants to hunt. He is this alpha creature, he wants to hunt. He will take these out. I believe the point was that these things tend to feed on nuclear energy, and he's like, we tried blowing it up, and it's back. So what are you going to do except make it stronger?
Which, I mean, they try at the end. I'm not sure what happened.
Which was better, in my opinion, at least, as much of a ripoff of Independence Day it was, which everything seems to go back to Independence Day lately, because Pacific Rim did the same thing. But in Independence Day, it was more annoying because Goldblum's whole argument is, oh, what, you're gonna blow up the planet, let's just blow up the whole planet, and I'm like, listen, dude, it's one nuclear bomb, and these aliens are wiping this shit out, and you have no idea that this won't work. At least in Godzilla, he said, we tried doing this before and it didn't work, and these things feed off of nuclear energy. They didn't know that in Independence Day.
Well, and, now, what did you think of, when I saw the other two monsters, which I'm very excited, there are other like I said, there's a lot of good things that make this a very solid, good Godzilla movie, just not of Godzilla. The monsters themselves, though, I look at that and I'm like, oh, Cloverfield. And Godzilla has given us so many creative monsters. The only thing I could factor in my mind is, did they want Godzilla to literally just fight the Cloverfield monster? Because we never see what happens to him.
I didn't get Cloverfield out of it. I got, oh, wow, somebody saw Starship Troopers. Like, it's the bugs from Starship Troopers. That's all I saw.
I saw the Clover. The weird kind of way it was.
I saw,
like
see,
and the heads in the
honestly,
middle,
I just wanted a couple of giant space marines to come out and start blowing that thing away, and then, you know, have frickin' Neil Patrick Harris go, it's scared. Like, I did not like the design. But here's the thing. It is, and this is why I think the movie is actually really good. For as much as I thought the design was just like every other generic movie monster we've seen, from Starship Troopers to Cloverfield to, you know, I feel like I've seen that design 1,000 times before. Even in some ways Independence Day with the giant sort of head and the many arms. It was executed so well, and I so believed that thing was there, and the way they captured the sense and scale of these creatures, I got really wrapped up into it. I'm like, wow, that design sucks. But any time it was attacking, I was completely into it. Completely into it. And so many movies, like, pay attention, Michael Bay. In fact, half of you guys who direct, because even I think something as good as Pacific Rim, this was one of the little special effects things that kind of bugged me. When people throw giant monsters into movies, I never get a sense of scale or that they're really there. They move too fast. They're so CGI and this and that. This thing, though, like when it initially comes out and is attacking Bryan Cranston and his son or whatever at the little Japanese encampment near the old nuclear power plant, when those wires are snapping and breaking, it was like the T-Rex attack in Jurassic Park. I'm like, this thing is here. It is moving slowly. You get a sense of the weight, and just every time it moves, the whole ground shakes. And that is something that is steps ahead of most monster movies I see.
Now, I will say this, because the one time we do get, like, actual fighting, we see them fight, is only at the end. Hell, I even argue anytime you get a real, like, well, you get a little city destruction, but...
And it's worth every minute.
But I will say this, when we got there, and there are some really cool moves, we get the fire, which is great, and good build-up for the fire, too.
Fire, you get him shooting fire down the other one's throat! How did you not stand up and applaud and declare yourself an American?
Because it pans away, and what's Marine Boy doing? That's okay, but we're getting sidetracked. When I will say this, you were talking about saving it and feeling the sides and stuff. I will say, even though I did like seeing all this stuff, and it's nice we finally got some action, that was the point where I was trying to say, like, they're starting to look a little fake. And it is interesting that maybe the longer it is on them, the more you start to realize,
which is the point why you don't show these things for 2 hours straight. That is the whole point.
And that's exactly what they did. They didn't show it for 2 hours straight. That's my problem.
No, that's the thing. If you showed it for 2 hours straight, you start to see, like, the man behind the curtain. No, I don't want it for 2 hours,
but for all that build-up...
That's the problem with most films nowadays.
Okay, for all that build... Okay, here's the thing. If they were building this all up for, the ending... the ending's gonna be, it's like, it's okay, guys, stay with it. It's gonna be really incredible and stuff like that. I would accept that a little bit more if A, the fight was longer at the end and we had more focus on it, and B, if you didn't hear this destruction happened and they never show it. They just show the after effect. Okay, there's segments of it happening on TV. And it looks incredible. I'm like, can I watch more? Can we just stop?
The segments on TV are the only part in the film that looked fake. Like, that was the part where I'm just like, from a distance, you can tell how silly it looks. The ground level is where...
I agree. Why don't we see it more from the ground level and see the actual stuff instead of just on the news?
Because then it's not going to be as interesting or worth the wait at the end when you see these three things go together. You're just going to get fatigue and tired. Or maybe you won't. Maybe I'm the only one who's sitting here and going, you know what? Maybe it's not good to just gorge yourself on this for 2 hours straight and then have an even longer, hour-long climax after all of that.
There's a balance, and every single time the monster is coming, we're gonna see something cool, it cuts away to something else, and that's not, hey, we're building it up, this is, we're not showing you the cool stuff. We're just leaving that out.
There was plenty of balance. The issue is not too little Godzilla, the issue is that the characters that are supposed to be reacting to Godzilla suck! Well, that is the issue. If you had interesting characters, I love the original film. The characters are more interesting in that movie. They got a dude with an eye patch, for crying out loud. By default, a dude with an eye patch, a Japanese dude no less, is 1,000 times more interesting than anyone in this movie outside of Bryan Cranston, including Ken Watanabe, who I normally really like.
I'll make a little bit of an argument.
And there was a love triangle in that movie. That's how much time they were wasting on the humans.
Wait, where was there a love triangle?
In the original 1950s.
No, I thought you meant this one. I was like, no, did the monsters have a love triangle?
The amount of time they waste on the humans in the original is pretty freaking epic. It's just that you're more wrapped up into those characters.
But
they knew how to do it.
But
so when you cut away,
but back then you had not seen this kind of, quite that, you haven't seen Godzilla back then.
It doesn't matter if you tell a story right. You could cut away and have it be riveting if I gave a crap about half the characters. That's the problem. Now, the problem is not cutting back on Godzilla, because anytime Godzilla was on scene, I cheered. And I would much rather be...
You cheer when he went to the bridge.
Yeah!
Kill those kids!
Actually, yeah. Why not? Man of Steel fans cheered when Superman took out Metropolis. No, at the end of the day, I would rather leave wanting more Godzilla than sitting there feeling like I am so exhausted and tired and this was just such a bullshit movie where it just shoved more and more shit down my throat. I would rather leave going, that was amazing, I want more, rather than going, that was way too much, I don't ever want to sit through a theater again and endure this.
You know, it almost feels like they don't even do, you know, you have that wonderful build-up for the first hour, and it almost feels like you don't even, after that, it's not even build-up, it's just cock tease. Because you see the monsters now, there they are, so what are they doing? What are we even watching until the last 20 minutes? We're watching them go places.
You're supposed... Yes, it's building up to a final battle.
There's no other build-up, though. Here are the monsters. Here we go, and...
Okay, so at the midway point...
so the whole movie is just build-up? No, the whole movie is just build-up until the last 20 minutes?
Yeah.
That's bullshit!
That's what a good film should do. I'm saying the problem is...
Okay,
the other stuff that's part of the build-up sucked. You have to cut away to something interesting then, and these guys are like... I was... talking online, it's like cutting to a lamppost. If you would cut to a character like, this is really interesting, he's gonna help solve this mystery, they're explaining things about Godzilla, we're moving the plot along this and that, it would be fine. I don't think anybody would be sitting here complaining. The problem is instead it cuts to a lamppost.
Okay,
it cuts to just like some dude like, oh, this is my mission to go help destroy Godzilla. Like, that's the problem.
Okay, no, two things. One, if they did, if they really want to do this right, as the whole movie is build up, and then the last, 20 minutes, half hour, whatever, is gonna be the payoff, then they should show Godzilla little by little, getting closer, getting bigger, getting whatever, but instead, at the 40-minute mark, you see him, they reveal him, there he is, and now we're just not gonna show him. We're not going to show him do what he does. You know he's there and you've seen him. There's nothing else to reveal except that there's fights going on. Wait, we're not even going to show that. We're going to show this stuff that you already know is happening. And you know it's cool, but you're not going to see it. And we're only going to say for the past 20 minutes. If the movie was mostly seeing these other two monsters destroy things and Godzilla slowly but surely was getting closer, bit by bit, you saw a little bit more of him every single time. Then at the very end, you finally see all of him, and it's this long, big, epic battle. That would have been better. That would have worked.
It was a long, big, epic battle.
It mostly wasn't. It was still cutting away to, how many times did you see that pan of something cool happening and then pan down to see the other people running around?
That's because the point of any Godzilla story is to also have the human element in it. Again,
but it's all human element until the end.
No, it's not all human element. There's tons of destruction throughout the whole thing.
Okay, no.
You're just upset because Godzilla himself isn't in it as much as you want.
Here's the other thing. Okay.
But Godzilla is like a super celebrity. If you overuse him, it's like getting too much media exposure. I don't want Godzilla to be the fucking Rachel Ray of monster movies.
I understand that. And like I said, I was actually all aboard waiting to see him. And I like that. I like the build-up. When in Hawaii, they meet up. They're in the city. Explosions, huge, awesome. They're about to fight. They cut away. What are the scenes after that? Godzilla in the water. The monsters on a bridge. Godzilla swimming through, it comes to the San Francisco Bridge, the Golden Gate Bridge. The monsters going through mountains and stuff. We just saw a city. Why the fuck do I want to see them on a wooden bridge? Why do I want to see them in the mountains? You played this card too early. If you saved all of that until the end, maybe it could have worked.
Then you would be sitting here complaining, oh my god, there was no Godzilla to the very end.
No, if they built him up enough and it was a good enough payoff at the end, where it's like, the fighting is cool, but to me it's still not...
So you want it to be pure Jaws without seeing Godzilla once until the very end.
No, you can show bits of it, but revealing all of him until the end. If you really want to do that. I'm not saying that's the right thing to do, but I'm saying if you want to play that out right, I would say that's
I think
the way
they were looking for some in-between, and I think they did it perfectly. The issue is not Godzilla or his reveals. The issue is there's nothing interesting to cut away to.
Let's talk about that. Let's talk about
will always be the issue.
I mean, let's talk about the people here. I actually didn't mind the main characters as much, though I know what you're talking about.
They're not insufferable, they're just not anything.
Yeah, they're not...
zero to them.
They are the side characters to who should have been the main character,
yeah.
which honestly, I didn't mind what they do with the quote-unquote main character to begin with. You know, I don't mind that stuff too much, but you better have somebody interesting to carry it off.
Somebody charismatic. If ever there was a moment that... You know what it is? It's like Independence Day, again, but you had Will Smith, and I don't like Independence Day, but I'm like, at least Will Smith was charismatic. I believe he's really going to find his fiancée or wife and kid or whatever, and, you know, in this one, I'm like, this guy just... No charisma.
I'm fucking believable.
No charisma. This guy. And when you pair him against Bryan Cranston, who has all of this charisma, who knows exactly the right line to tell, I mean, it's embarrassing. Like, it is just seriously embarrassing. Like, how can you underact this much with somebody just throwing their all into it?
I thought when they were together, and honestly, like I said, I'll give this guy a little bit more credit. I actually like him enough. You know, but again, in a certain amount, it's not, the movie is not called Soldier Guy. It's called Godzilla. You know, and granted, I don't want necessarily Godzilla to be, you know...
Soldier Guy should have had a more minimized role with scientist Ken Watanabe guy taking on a more prominent role.
I would like that, or even the, I like when,
because Soldier Guy doesn't advance the plot a whole lot. He's there to react to what's happening with Godzilla, and a part of me was just like, why couldn't we just had the wife character end up in that role? Because, like, you really could switch it around at any moment. You didn't need Soldier Guy.
Yeah, why not cut back? You know, you see a lot of this is just not interesting when it's compared to there's a Godzilla out there. It's like, because I'm thinking they do show the wife in the hospital helping people. You do see the kid getting on the bus and stuff like that.
Yes, but you don't care about them.
Yeah,
that's the issue. But that's not a lack of Godzilla doing that. That's poor screenwriting doing that. That's, for whatever reason, they wrote this great Bryan Cranston character, and then they invested everything in him, and then just decided to slowly sideline him, and then you're... What's left? They have all these characters. It's almost like an unfinished screenplay. They're like, well, we'll flesh out the rest of these characters later, especially Ken Watanabe. I actually loved his acting, but the reason I loved it is because I think he knows in his head what his backstory is, and the movie never told us. Like, he has this look on his face like, my God, like, I've seen things you wouldn't believe in. Like, there is some screwed up backstory to this guy that the film never told us. Okay, so that's the problem.
There is one thing we can definitely agree on in this movie, strangely enough, is that things, you know, like I said, I think we both have things we like, things we dislike, but things start to go astray, strangely enough, when Godzilla shows up. Because that's when it focuses more on the soldier, and that's when the roles get minimized. And, you know, for me, that's when they cut away from too much of the action going on.
It's not a result of Godzilla actually showing up.
I mean, no, I'm not saying it's necessarily the cause. It's just interesting that everything sort of happens at that time. As soon as he's revealed, you see him in all his glory.
And I will say this, with very few exceptions, again, I think filmmakers should be banned from using handheld, like, shaky cam. And the weird thing is, he doesn't use it that much in the actual attacks. But anytime there's, like, a domestic drama, it's like the shaky... I feel like I'm on an episode of Cops, and any second the SWAT team's gonna bust in and take, like, this family out. Like, it's just ridiculous. And I'm like, stop doing it. It only gives a sense of immediacy if there's something really dramatic going on. Sitting there and going, hey, it's great to be back, does not warrant handheld close-ups and... But apart from that, the rest of the film was shot beautifully. It was meticulous. There was not a bad shot in the movie when it came to dealing with everything else, so I don't know. It may just be another thing like Spider-Man 2, where it's great filmmaking with a bad script.
I don't think the script was that bad. I thought they actually incorporated a lot of stuff from the Godzilla films, updated them very well. You know, because how can you do a Godzilla movie, still take it seriously, but still...
Name a backstory that is interesting that doesn't involve Bryan Cranston.
I would argue, actually, the other scientist, the Asian scientist...
what was his backstory?
Well, no, that he had, you know, that he's been looking over this, whatever, this monster for years, the one that's gonna explode and stuff, almost like he wants to kill it, but can't.
But where's the connection? That's just it. I've been looking for this monster. I may want to kill her, but I might can't.
Oh no, he
nothing
disappears.
That's nothing. That's nothing to grip to. And even the son, like, what little emotion I have from the son comes from Bryan Cranston, his father.
Okay,
like,
okay. So here's what we can also agree on.
So it's not a good. It's not a good script. It's the plot itself is okay. I don't mind the concepts behind the plot, as silly as it is. It's an okay plot, but the actual characterization, there just is none outside of Bryan Cranston.
So we
They
can
don't
agree
tell
that
you
if you're going to cut away from Godzilla, you should, at the very least, have damn, holy smokes, I really want to follow you characters because we're going to watch you instead of the giant lizard out there.
I don't need more. I got as much Godzilla. I went in and, in some ways, I feel like I got more Godzilla even than I needed because I applauded 3 times during that finale. They built him up. I applauded. I cheered. Everyone else did, too. It was a Monday night, so we're at half to 2/3 capacity. But everybody was like, yeah, I mean, you could hear people, just going nuts for this. So, the amount of Godzilla was fine. Everybody seemed to me at least leaving satisfied. They just, whenever you cut away to the humans, though, you just snore through it. And the question is, pick your poison. Would you rather have something insufferable like the 98 Godzilla where you have way too much Godzilla and the humans are just annoying with, pee-pee poopy populous or whatever? Or would you rather have something where it's less Godzilla, but it's 5 times more awesome, and instead of actively annoying you like the 98 characters did, you just fall asleep?
I mean, no,
I just fell
opinion,
asleep. That's what happened to me. I would rather have that.
I mean, it's very hard to do much worse than the 98 Godzilla.
Well, it is setting the bar. Really well.
And it's that's so funny that it's for Godzilla movies, it's just funny that this is that there is kind of this bar. It's how dare you demean this movie where a guy gets in a rubber suit and fights other guys in rubber suits. But there was this formula and there was this way of doing it that was so entertaining that one did not get. And I felt that in a lot of ways, this one got much closer and was much more cleverly done and was well updated and had a lot of good nods to the original. And it was a Godzilla movie, but I think everybody has at least one major problem with it, and usually through halfway of the movie, whether it be the characters, whether it be not seeing enough Godzilla. But the nice thing, in my opinion, that I think is so nice, is that it is a Godzilla movie.
And it takes itself seriously.
Yes.
That is the big thing. It's missing 2 things. The lack of characterization, or interesting characters, and it's missing the socio-political subtext, which the original had, which gave it more weight. It kind of looked like they were going there because it reminded me of the tsunami. And
some of those got a little uncomfortable.
So I thought maybe this is a metaphor for natural disaster, but they never delved into that. They did a little with Nature Finds a Way, so weak script. But I'll take this that takes itself seriously like the original did, with characters that just kind of put me to sleep over the 98 film, or even some of the, later Godzillas where they just became goofy kids films. This to me is still a step above half of those, and I like those. They're silly, they're goofy, but this is more like what I'm looking for out of sort of a classic Godzilla movie, and I think it nailed it. Yeah, is it dull in between waiting for Godzilla? Yeah, but as I was saying online, it's like waiting in line for a really good roller coaster. You sit there for an hour waiting in line, and you're just like, oh my god, this is dull, the people around me are dull, but you get that glimpse of the coaster running around you, and every few seconds you get that anticipation, and when you finally get on the coaster, it's like, man, that took forever, but it was so worth the wait. It was still the best 3 minutes of my life. And that's better than most summer blockbusters I see every year, so...
It does seem like this summer and last summer's movies, it seems like it's we have really good solid films. There's just one obvious problem that anyone with half a brain would be able to say, don't do that, with a movie. And it is interesting because it's we are getting good films, but there's this always this one obvious
problem. Which would you rather
with
have? 3 hours of something like Transformers 2 or 3 with the same damn battle?
I'd rather have a movie where everything is balanced out and good. I don't want to have to choose. I want them to go and I want them to fix it.
Well, welcome to real life. Fairy tale is over, princess. You're gonna have to choose because Hollywood sucks.
I think Hollywood can get better. It has gotten better. Like I said, we're getting primarily actually good movies just with these major problems.
I sat there through a trailer for Into the Storm. Twister 2 is all it is. And you want to tell me Hollywood's getting better? Go ahead, have fun. I can't wait to see the look of disappointment on your face when you're 80 years old seeing, what's going to be Twister 27.
Hey, that movie's going to be incredible.
No, the guy behind me had the best line. I just heard, doesn't have any sharks flying around in it. I don't want to see it.
I think I said, we're going to see Godzilla do this in a minute. Why are we seeing nature do it? take that for what it's worth. I don't even know if it's worth doing a spoiler corner for this one. I mean, I think there's like...
I think we should, just for the major one.
Okay, alright. Well, we'll do it real quick for the major one. You've heard everybody probably talk about this movie and different opinions and stuff like that. I don't think there's one major camp. Everyone's gonna have their thoughts whether you're a Godzilla fan or not a Godzilla fan. It's a toughie, because in many ways it is really a Godzilla movie, as
this
I say
sucks,
in
though,
other
because
ways.
you made a lot of enemies, and everybody was saying, you're going to have to beat Doug down in the review, and then all of a sudden it's like,
No, I'm
like,
still...
I came in
still
here,
wanna see
like, ready to just, like, throw down, and then you're just like, well, really, when you get down to it, I mean, I like it more, and I'm like, you cheated me! I want my war!
I want my Godzilla! I mean, I still want to see more Godzilla.
You got your Godzilla. You got plenty of Godzilla.
You know what? If they gave us the fight in the middle, if you went, rah, and they had a fight at the airport throwing the buildings around, then they broke, and we'd never see another fight until the very end, that would have worked. But I say you can't build that up and then give you nothing in the middle like that.
Then all your fans would have been yelling, like, what are you talking about? Then they didn't show Godzilla for like an hour! What the f...
No, I'd be fine if they made the characters interesting, like they started off and stuff, so... But no, I don't think
they
it's...
didn't.
Well, they should. So
they should. But again,
there's your, if anyone's like, how dare you? It's like that is my solution. That is how I think this could have worked well enough. Is that if you gave us that battle at least in the middle that you built up so much, so spectacularly, and then that would tide us over until the big battle at the end. But you can't build it up and then give nothing until the end. And that is my problem. But I hear people saying what you're saying too. That it's like. No, I like the build-up. I think I want to see Godzilla just bits and pieces here and there, but the people kind of got a little boring and stuff. So I think everyone's going to have a problem. I don't think anyone's going to go and be like, that was the greatest Godzilla, everything was perfect.
I think you have to have the right expectations. This is a series that in the sequel had him fighting King Kong.
Yes.
Like we went from, in the Showa era, we went from Godzilla to King Kong versus Godzilla. Which would now take this with a grain of salt, people, and if the characters are boring, I'm like, so what? The characters are boring. We've had way worse. Maybe I have lowered expectations. I don't know, but...
If they did get Godzilla and King Kong now, it'd be like Godzilla just, like, go down at you, because, like, King Kong now in the last movie is, like, that big compared to Godzilla.
Well, and, like, let's look at it this way. It's like, we've got Peter Jackson's King Kong. I would rather sit through 1,000 of these Godzilla movies than sit through that one more time. And that was like a 3-hour movie.
But I like King Kong. I like him in it. So it is sort of a weird balance. There's a really great
I submit to you that this
Godzilla
Godzilla in this movie had way more personality than King Kong and Peter Jackson.
Oh, I disagree. I don't even like that King Kong, and I think he had much more personality than
Monkey
this Godzilla.
lover.
Okay.
That's
an argument for another day.
You know what? In the sequel, King Kong versus Godzilla, I know who I'm rooting for, ass.
Well, no, I'll root for Godzilla because King Kong's like that big. That was my one problem. It's like he was too small in the Jackson one. But yeah, so that's about it. She took the tape. She took the tape. I'm Matthew Broderick.
I'm Titty Kaka Papalopoulos.
The Topolith.
Whatever.